Waterloo, I couldn't escape if I wanted to. Waterloo, that's the movie we're going to review.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about Waterloo, the 1970s film, today on Mallard Matinee. Yes, we are talking about Waterloo for our month of war. It's, classic battle. If you know about Napoleonic history, you'll know about the Waterloo, the Battle of Waterloo, where he was defeated for the final time. But yeah, before we get into that, before we get to the movie, let's get into who we have with us here today. And over here we have...
And I am Country Boy. Welcome to our Waterloo episode, our very first episode of the month of war. And this is a movie that, I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed, Lewis, because, I love me some biopics. Walk the Line, I love Johnny Cash, the Man in Black. They also did the Queen biopic. I was thinking, oh, Waterloo, we're doing ABBA finally. ABBA was not in this movie, not one bit.
Did they use it in the soundtrack?
Damn it, so disappointed. But I did watch this movie for the first time just this week because you suggested it. I didn't really have any inkling of how it is, if it's good or bad before that, so I went into it just completely new. It was all fresh for me. I knew of this movie, but I never knew really who was in it. I didn't really know anything about it other than I had a feeling it was about Napoleon and his last battle.
Yeah. Yeah, and I am Lewis Lightning. This was my choice for the month of war. I picked it having not seen it before either. For me, when I was young, probably 7 or 8, and I say 7 or 8 because I remember hanging out at my grandmother's and my uncle was there and he had the movie Gettysburg, which came out in 1993. So somewhere around 7 or 8 years old I was. Although it was on VHS, so it could have been a year or two later. But that was a big war film, and I just remember watching it when I was a little kid, and I was like, oh, I was seeing all these armies coming across the field and having fights and stuff like that. Ooh, I like the classic kind of war films. Mm-hmm. So when it came to the month of war, I was like, okay, I want to find something that kind of brings back that feeling. And from what I knew about Waterloo, there's a YouTube channel that I used to watch. I mean, he hasn't put out stuff in a while, so I can't remember his name either, but he would I think it was the Movie Historian or something like that was his name on YouTube, and he goes through old films like Gladiator, and he says, oh, well, actually at this time, Emperor, what was the emperor in that one? Tiberius, Claudius, whatever, he wasn't actually in this area or something.
Oh, so he'd give you the more historical facts.
How historically accurate it is, right? And he did Waterloo. And he was talking about it and gushing about it, and he was gushing over some of the stuff which I'll bring up later. Okay. Just as a little bit of a spoiler, that the Russian government, Russian military, plays a big part in the making of this film. I don't know if you watched it at the end. There's a credit to the Soviet armies.
In the credits?
Yeah, at the very end. There's a special thank you.
I usually fast forward credits to see if there's anything at the end. That's about it. I didn't notice that.
But yeah, so they played a big part, which was also why it was so hard to get this film, because part of the production rights is controlled by the Moscow and stuff. But yeah, so I was like, oh, I want to see all this, because the guy really laid into all the stuff that was historically accurate and all the stuff they had to go through to make this film happen.
Okay.
So it's really interesting in that sense, which is why I brought it up as my submission for the month of war. I did look into it just before I started watching it to see how did it review, and it was pretty middling. Wasn't low, but it was 5 out of 10, 6 out of 10.
Yeah, I saw that after I'd already watched the movie. I kind of looked at some reviews and I was like, okay, it didn't blow up at the award ceremonies or anything like that. It wasn't a big award movie. Yeah. It didn't have a lot of critical reviews that were so really good. But it wasn't also nobody said it was terrible either. It was kind of in the middle, like you said.
Yeah. But yeah, let's get into the movie then, and we can start with the cast. You're always good with the cast.
Yeah, so I always write down a bunch of the actors that are in it. So we'll start with Napoleon Bonaparte, played by Rod Steiger, or Steiger, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. I thought he was probably the best of the actors. Him and the one playing the Duke of Wellington, but they were both the two actors that are the most prominent in the movie, and rightfully so. I think they're the two best actors that were in this movie, and I thought watching at the very beginning, I was like, this guy doesn't really remind me of Napoleon. Looking at him just physically, he looks a little chubbier than what I thought Napoleon would have been. But then actually seeing him act, I was like, oh, okay, I can actually see it. He does actually have a gravitas, and he does have an emotionality about him that I could definitely see being Napoleonic, and I thought he did a really good job.
Yeah, I think he was well done. The thing is, like, even for me, like when I started watching it, I know a lot about history, but Napoleon stuff never really appealed to me a whole lot. But so I didn't really know a whole lot of this. In the beginning, he's like, he seems like he's going psycho. Like he's like yelling at his generals, like, "I am this country," and he's like freaking out and stuff. Yeah. And I'm like, I feel like they're overdoing and overacting and all this stuff. So I actually went and like kind of Googled it and was like, he was kind of megalomaniacal towards the end of his.
I could see that. I mean, yeah, he was getting sick too in the last few years.
Yeah, that's what it was said as well. Like he was getting sick.
So he wasn't, in his right mind at all times.
Yeah, and he was older too. Like at this point, like not super old.
I think he was only in his 50s or in his 40s at this time.
But I mean, he'd been like for 16 years or something like that. He's been like having wars constantly. So
yeah, and he's not one that really loses wars. Like, he's used to winning.
They were saying they were saying he was sick, and I was like, was he really sick? And again, I Googled it, and he's like, yeah, he had some like bowel. It
was like a hemorrhoid.
And hemorrhoids. Yeah. There's hemorrhoids.
I've been there. Oh, those aren't fun.
So yeah, like. His look, I mean, maybe because they're trying to show he's being unhealthy. I also kind of wonder if, like, that was something that the Russians were into a bit, because he fought the Russians at the time, and Russians are very proud. They want to make their aggressors look like idiots or something in the movies. Like, I wonder if that's something they kind of played a little bit more into. Although I could be wrong. It could be. That's just how it was.
Yeah.
Because this is the one thing this film tries to do, is just be accurate to what happened at that time.
It kind of seems like, it definitely felt like it starts off with him losing to Russia and having to give up.
Yeah.
And then
he went to Elba.
Yeah, he went to Elba, and then it kind of goes a year after that. But we'll move to the next actor, which is the other second most prominent actor, which is Christopher Plummer, and he plays the Duke of Wellington, Arthur Wellesley.
Yeah. I thought he was fantastic. There's a whole thing between him and Napoleon where like they're kind of playing this mind chess throughout. They never see each other on screen. They never directly interact.
Yeah.
But like in their heads, they're like playing like chess with one another. But I'll move my guys this way and see how he's gonna go here, and I'll do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
And like I also found that with Plummer and the guy playing Napoleon, is that they kind of showed like Napoleon was all emotional. Like he has lots of outbursts at times.
Yeah.
He's freaking out. He's crying at times. Like he goes all. Christopher Plummer. His character is very much like in charge of his emotions.
Yeah.
Not that he's emotionless, like he has them, but he has them so pushed down and under control that like a guy could get killed right next to him, and he'll just be like, "Oh, that's a shame. Let's have someone else come in and fill in for him."
Basically, yeah.
But then afterwards, he's just like drained. He's like, "Oh."
Yeah. He definitely has. He's able to control. He's able to have a lot more control in the battle, because he doesn't really get emotional. He's able to understand and he uses tactics, and he knows that what he's doing is basically gonna outmaneuver Napoleon, because he has his men situated in certain spots, and Napoleon thinks what he's doing one thing, but he's actually doing another thing, and you could see in his face he's not showing any emotion, and that it rings really well. I don't know if that was what his character was really like in real life. But Christopher Plummer does a really good job, and Canadian actor too, by the way.
I feel like he had a really commanding presence. Like the second he comes on screen, his face and everything, you're just like, this guy means business.
100%. Yeah, I thought he did an excellent job as the Duke. And then some, secondary actors. Orson Welles was in this as well too. Very small role as Louis XVIII.
I feel like they just put him in there because like, hey, we can get Orson Welles in our picture, and they put in the role of like Louis XVIII for no particular reason, because he doesn't see Napoleon either. Like
they never actually interact with each other.
He doesn't really interact. He interacts with some of the other generals and commanders and stuff, but he never really talks with Napoleon. And like he's probably like 5 minutes of screen time total or something.
Yeah. And
that's it. And like it doesn't really play a whole lot of a role. Like you could have written those scenes out completely.
Totally. You didn't need his character at all.
And I have a note in here that I was just like, I feel like that he was like stuck in that chair. His upper body was so big. It was like.
I had a question, like, did they make him fatter than he really was? I know Orson Welles is a bigger guy, but is he as big as he was in this movie?
I've seen some stuff where he's big, but...
Or did they exaggerate him to be Louis XVIII? Because Louis XVIII is a bigger dude, too.
I don't know. I never looked at how big Louis XVIII was.
Because I noticed that too. I was like, holy, like Orson Welles either put on a lot of pounds,
Yeah.
or they gave him a fat suit or something. Because he was a big dude. Getting into like the horse carriage or whatever, or was it the car or whatever?
Yeah,
it was
horse
carriage. Horse carriage. There's no cars yet. Yeah, and
You see the side come down.
yeah, it was just, like he was a big dude.
And you like the thing is, you do see his legs when he's like walking to the carriage, and they are a bit thinner. Doesn't mean he's not actually that heavy up top, but yeah, and it's him in that chair. I was like, he is probably wedged in that thing.
But I mean, Orson Welles, he's a good actor, but like we said, he's only in it for maybe 5 minutes. It's just, it's kind of a throwaway role almost.
I kind of wonder, like, going into this, I knew, like, okay, we got Napoleon's French, Duke of Wellington's English, it's going to be Prussians, and I thought maybe there'd be Russians, and I was just wondering if they were going to be speaking, each of their own languages, and like maybe for the French, that there'd be subtitles and stuff. Yeah. But, obviously with Orson Welles, that's not happening. But I kind of wonder if I would have preferred it with subtitles and they're all speaking in different languages, because I don't know.
And one thing I even noticed too, like it's common for all movies to do this, for any station of, like, if you're in Europe, everybody has an English accent, no matter where you're, right? Even the French, like, they don't even have French accents. Yeah. Every once in a while, they'll say like a French term or something like that, but for the most part, everybody's just speaking English and have English accents, and they don't even try to be French. And I've noticed that throughout this movie. I was like, I mean, that's something they do nowadays. Even if you watch a Gladiator, they're not speaking like Roman or anything like that. If you go to like a Greek movie, they're still speaking with English accents. Everybody has these same accents.
And then you said there was a couple more.
Yeah, so I got like the kind of like the right hand men of our main actors. So Jack Hawkins was kind of one of the right hand men. He had like the big sideburns, the mutton chops. His character's name was General Sir Thomas Picton.
Yeah,
he was on the Duke's
He's
side.
got like a gravelly voice, and a little bit of a gravelly voice. There's another guy who was like Scottish, was even more gravelly. But
so I don't know if you knew this, but this guy, this actor, he actually had his larynx removed 4 years prior to this movie.
Oh, no, it didn't.
So he actually dubbed his voice in after the fact. So, I mean, if you watch, his mouth doesn't quite match up some of the time.
Yeah, there was a couple of guys that I was like, well, him and another person that I thought their mouths didn't match up, but...
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was kind of a cool fact to have this guy who doesn't even have a voice be one of the main characters in this movie. Yeah. Just kind of, I mean, he did a good job. He wasn't a bad actor in any way. I thought he did a good job as his right-hand man.
I didn't like how he got, like, taken out quickly, but...
Yeah. That's too bad.
It's just how the war is.
Yeah, hey, you never know who's going to survive. And then I also had Dan O'Hurley, who was Marshal Michael Nee, which is Napoleon's right hand.
Yeah, it's the longer-haired one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of almost got, like, gay vibes from him, but I don't know. Well, I don't know. Like, not saying him and, like, Napoleon was part of it, but he just seemed like he was maybe a little bit of a more effeminate man who... Maybe he never said it or whatever, but he had like a deep admiration for Napoleon that I feel like kind of went beyond just being a soldier.
Yeah.
To me, it seemed that way. But again, he was a very minor role.
Yeah, I tried to have more than just the main guys and have some secondary characters as well too. But yeah, again, it was kind of more minor character, and he did serviceable job as his right hand guy.
Yeah, I almost would say like the women as well in this movie, but they appear for like the one scene and that's it.
Yeah, and I actually did have one of the women in there as one of the people to talk about. But like you said, they were only in like the one scene. Like, it was like in a big ballroom sort of setting, and that was kind of it.
Because there's like, I don't know, the daughter, and then the I don't know if she's like a princess or duchess or something like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like especially with the daughter, like she has like a soldier she's like in love with or whatever, and they're like, oh yeah, don't let him die, and he dies. but there's never any consequence to that. Like you don't see the aftermath of how does she find out. So their roles are really nothing.
Yeah, it was very just filler.
Yeah. So I guess we can get into the movie then.
Sure, let's go into the story.
So it starts off like Napoleon's just been defeated, like you said, by combined forces, including the Russians and stuff. He's in France, I think probably Paris, and all those generals. I like how they walk up. When all the generals walk up, all their boots are in step, just clunk clunk down the hallways. And I think I noticed that these are probably like locations, maybe not like the actual palaces and stuff, but these are real locations. They're not sets.
Yeah, that's something that I actually really liked. I like seeing these. I don't think they're sets. I think they're literally in like France and probably have these big elaborate rooms, probably because this is literally from where they went and
Yeah.
where they were in France. I don't know exactly what it is, what you'd call this building, but it was like these big open rooms, the pillars and huge oversized doors and stuff. It's like, this is pretty cool set dressing. If it's a set, then it's really well done. But I think it's probably a real thing.
But like all his like commanders, like the generals and stuff, come up to Napoleon, who's sitting at a table, and like, look, there's nothing else we can do, man.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like the one thing you can do is you can resign, or what I can't remember, abdicate. You can abdicate. That's the only thing you can do. And Napoleon just does not want to do it. He's just like, no, we can still do this. I can still do that. And then like someone walks in the room, it's like, actually, that guy you wanted to come around here, like he's already been defeated as well.
Yeah.
Like, he sits down and he just signs off on the papers, whatever. He's very, like I said, like earlier, like he seems very deluded and like just, I don't know, like full of himself, egotistical.
Yeah,
he can do all this.
That's what it is. He's egotistical because like I don't think he's lost many or any battles up to this point.
Yeah. And then they're like, okay, well, you have to, part of it, not just abdicated, but you're going to be exiled to the island of Elba, which we don't really see a whole lot of. Like, it cuts to this shot of an island.
Yeah.
Like, there's a boat sailing, and there's a shot of this island that's kind of misty, which gave me, like, Godzilla vibes. Like, from the opening movie of Godzilla, like, you would see an island, and you'd be like, okay, that's where the monster is, kind of thing. But yeah, you don't see anything on the island. You just see this island at a distance, and it's smoky. And then, like, later on, you get Orson Welles popping up.
Yeah.
And Orson Welles is Louis XVIII, and he gets word that Napoleon has returned from exile. He's escaped from Elba, and he had a guard of like 1,000 men, which was his old guard. And I gotta say, his old guard, a lot of them didn't look very French to me. There's like some guys with like really dark tans, and like they kind of remind me of more like Indian appearance.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if you got that.
I didn't really picture the men too much. I didn't look at them too closely.
But yeah, so he's got like 1,000 of his guards, which he was granted in Elba as well for his own protection. But now he's bringing them, and he's coming to march on Paris. So Orson Welles' character, Louis XVIII, sends one of these guys who used to be like a general for Napoleon, who was, I guess, very faithful at the time. He's like, no, I don't have any love for him, and he takes like, I don't know, like 18,000 men or something like that, like just an amount that would completely squash Napoleon.
Napoleon would have no chance. Yeah.
And they go to confront him on the road, and like they have Napoleon and all those soldiers at gunpoint, and they tell him, basically surrender or whatever, and he's like, no, I'm not. He just kind of walks up.
Well, yeah, at first he gets his guys to put their guns as well too. And he's like, put your guns down, put their guns down.
And then the guy that's confronting Napoleon tells him to fire, and no one fires a shot at all. Mm-hmm. And like Napoleon like kind of walks up, and then they kind of embrace him, like all the soldiers anyways, just coming and
surround him and embrace him.
They embrace Napoleon. He's now got all these 18,000, and like the general himself's kind of standing there, the only one who's kind of like on the fence. He's like, yeah, you're my emperor, and he joins with Napoleon's guys, and they keep marching towards Paris, which then you see like Louis XVIII. It's like, yeah, I gotta leave. He just gets in his cart and leaves. Yeah. And that's the extent of Orson Welles' character.
Yeah, I did like the line. It was later on when Napoleon said something about the crown. Like I didn't ask for the crown. It was in the mud and I picked it up or something like that. I thought that was a really good line.
He says like something like, the crown was in the mud. I picked it out with my sword, and the people put it on me.
Yeah.
That's how he puts it. Like he didn't put the crown on himself.
Yeah, I like that line.
But yeah, then it cuts to this big ballroom scene where we initially don't see the Duke of Wellington for like a minute or two.
Yeah, we don't see. He's not there yet. It's just a bunch of his men, I guess.
We see this woman, which I think is the Duchess, like his wife or lover of some sort.
Yeah.
And she's got a daughter with her, and they're having this big ball with all the soldiers. It's very your typical like 1600s ball. Everyone's doing these dances in a weird step and whatever. And then Duke Wellington shows up, Christopher Plummer, commanding presence, and like I don't know, this is kind of like, I feel like I don't know how to describe the dialogue here. It kind of feels like like I don't know, I'll say Coronation Street, Downtown Abbey, like some British show, because they're like, oh, I'll bring you back like a hat with no blood on it. Oh, bring me back one with blood on it. And then like, it's just so weird how they're acting.
It was a little cheesy, and I don't know if it's maybe them trying to recreate what it spoke like back in the 1800s, or if maybe that's what 1970s speak was in England or something. But yeah, it was a little corny in that way.
I really felt both women were their characters felt really out of touch. Like even with the movie, not just society, but with the movie itself, they felt like they're in like a fairy tale movie, like with like princes and like stuff like that.
Yeah, it felt like they would definitely be like the damsel in distress if there was ever that in the situation.
Yeah, it's just so weird. But yeah, then they find out that Napoleon's returned, and like a soldier comes in and starts telling like Christopher Plummer's character, the Duke of Wellington, tells him, Napoleon's returning. We got to move our armies, blah blah blah, and everything just stops. Like they finish. Well, the Duke says, let them finish their dance because it's the last thing they're going to do before they go to war or whatever. But it doesn't really go that way. Everyone just starts clearing out basically at that point, and yeah, they go off to war. Like I said earlier, the Duchess tells Duke Wellington that this soldier that their daughter's in love with, or whoever that is, it's like, don't let him die. And it's like, he does.
Yeah, yeah.
He's so naive too.
Everything leading up to the war, it's a lot slower. I'd say it's a slower paced movie leading up to the war, and it's like half the movie basically is like almost like the first hour, maybe the first 40 minutes is them like leading up to them going to war, and then finally you see the Duke kind of circles on the map Waterloo that they're going to be going there. Yeah. That's where the war is going to happen, or the battle is going to happen. Yeah,
but then you see. Well, first of all, I would say like I guess I'm repeating myself, but I said like. I wrote down, the Wellington seems just as smart or smarter than Napoleon, but lacks any sense of self-importance or grandeur.
Yeah.
That I wrote down. But anyways, then you kind of see like all the French forces out, like lined up in the fields, multiple, because there's so huge, there's so many of them. Yeah. I said that was very impressive to see all those, and like
back in 1970, it would have been like all people. Like there's no digitally like adding people. It would have literally been all these people, hundreds of thousands, it would have been thousands of people that are in costume. Like that's a lot of costumes to make, and to be like historically accurate too. Like that would have been expensive as hell.
Yeah. So to me that was so incredible. Like I've seen huge armies like in Lord of the Rings or even Avengers Endgame. There's like these two armies, but like when you see all the fighting happening here, and even just them all lined up. There's like a sense like this feels a lot more real.
100%.
I can't really put my finger on why.
It's thousands upon thousands of people. Whereas like you said, in Lord of the Rings or in like Avengers Endgame or something like that, you might have maybe hundreds of people, maybe 1,000 people, and then everybody else is digitally added in the background. And it looks cool and it makes it look grandeur, but it's not real. And you can kind of tell.
Yeah. Then like they basically get right into the fighting at that point.
Yeah.
And like one of the first things they do is they go to this farmhouse kind of thing. I don't know what it's called. They start assaulting that, but it's so funny that once the assault happens, everyone starts firing their guns, and within like 30 seconds to a minute, everything just gets like covered in this haze from all the gun smoke and stuff. Yeah. And it's like, wow. I wonder if this is accurate. Like that fighting at that time would be terrible because you can't do too much shooting because you can't see, but you want to keep shooting because you don't know what's coming.
Well, you got the gunfire, plus you got the cannon fire as well too.
And that those horses were sometimes like 10 feet away, and boom, something blows up, and they don't react. And like I know that they did that in wartime, but this is a movie that they train these horses as well. Like that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
And then that Picton guy, I wrote I like how Picton had an umbrella with him in the battlefield. It was felt very British. Like,
come here.
He didn't even have a suit. I think at one point they talk about proper military dressage, and Wellington just gives him a look.
Or even right before the battle starts, they're cheersing with some wine or whatever it was. They all had these drinks. I think that was the Duke of Wellington's. They're all proper and primp. It's almost like they're having fun. This is almost like a day out for them.
Yeah, and like I said, the whole time the battle happens, Wellington and Napoleon, we get cuts back to them where they're talking about whatever maneuvers they're pulling off, and in their heads, okay, I got to flank this way, or I'm going to bring him in with a false retreat while these guys circle around to the side. But then I have the charging of the Scots Greys on the white horses was a truly magnificent scene, especially since they have the horses fall at running speed.
That was crazy to me.
And this is no CG.
That was crazy because they're running into battle with the horses, and the horses are going full speed and just toppling over. People are flying off of the horses. How the hell did they coordinate this? Did the horses die after this? Those are some hard hits those horses took.
I don't know all the facts, but I know that a lot of those horses were trained to do that. I don't. Okay, that's.
They had to have injured like dozens of horses doing this.
I don't know about this movie. I've known at the time that a lot of times what they do is they put like a tripwire to trip the horses.
That's great.
I don't know if they did it in this film, but that is something they did at the time. But like, oh,
that's insane. You would not get away with that nowadays making a movie. Peter would be on that like this.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that was probably the coolest thing in this movie was those horses just running full tilt and tumbling.
Yeah, it is a great shot. Like it's one of the, I don't say the best shots in cinema, but it's in wartime movies. I love that shot.
It happened constantly too, and it was so believable is to see the horses they get shot like boom, tumble like wow that was the best part of the movie.
And sometimes there's other people around too. It's like wow, how did you do that tumble and not crush this other guy who was like 2 feet away?
Yeah.
Then there's at one point there's like a soldier having a freak out in the battlefield. Who was like, oh, we're all brothers, why are we fighting? I felt like out of place and unnecessary. Mm-hmm. We'd seen him like once or twice in a crowd. He doesn't say anything. And then here he just has this kind of big freak out.
Was he the guy next to the guy that stole the pig?
I think so.
One time when they were in the front line?
I think they were.
Yeah, okay. I like that part with the pig too. It was a necessary moment with the Duke and stuff. Open your backpack.
He gets fucking promoted.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that just felt out of place because they built up to that. Maybe it would mean something, that soldier. We see him later dead. Mm-hmm. The guy who was freaking out in the battlefield. We don't see him die, but we see him dead. Which I was expecting him to get shot or something. But
I wrote down in my notes that I thought the horses getting shot acted better than the people getting shot in this movie. Because a lot of times you see people go like, oh, as they got shot and they'd fall forward, like so overly dramatic. And that's how a lot of people acted back then when they got shot. It was just like this overly dramatic fall. It would never just be like shot and drop or something like that. They'd be like, oh, you got to see me before I actually fall to the ground.
Yeah. Another thing that kind of bothered me is like probably halfway through the battle, both armies see another army coming towards them, and they can't tell if it's the Prussians at first. They can't tell if it's the Prussians
off in the distance,
or if it's more French soldiers because before the big battle happened, the Prussians were like retreating or coming to join. I don't know exactly what they're doing, but you don't know what the Prussians really wanted to do because they're like, we don't trust the Duke of Wellington we don't trust the English. He says, but obviously they're against the French. Mm-hmm. So he's like, I guess, wandering the countryside, which Napoleon knows about, and he sends one of his battalions to kind of pursue him, chase him.
Yeah.
So when they see this army coming, they don't know if it's the Prussians, because the Prussians wear black, or the French, because they wear blue, which is a little bit darker.
Dark blue, yeah.
Although eventually, like me, in 2 minutes they say, okay, it is the Prussians. The Prussians are coming, and like not good for Napoleon. But Napoleon's like, don't tell the soldiers.
Well, he's also like, we won't worry about that now. We'll worry about the battle in front of us.
But like. The fight keeps going on for like hours. Like they show on screen like the time.
Yeah, it's like 11:55, then like 12:10 or whatever, then like 2 o'clock, and like
after a few hours pass, I was like, did everyone just forget about the Prussians? Because Napoleon kind of gets an advantage and he starts pushing Wellington or whatever.
Well, like throughout the battle, like he's asking the time a lot of times too, and they're like jotting down notes. Like say 6 o'clock, we defeated the army, whatever he said.
Wellington's
forces, because they had taken over that farmyard or whatever it was. I was like, why is that so important? Taking over this house. They didn't look like anything that important.
I just think it's a strategic point. I don't know.
Maybe, and that's when he was saying, like 6 o'clock, right down that we.
Well, he's like, and he sends someone to Paris, let them know that we've won here today, and the kind of things like they're still fighting.
Yeah.
But then obviously the Prussians do show up. Napoleon loses his advantage, and they just eventually they get slaughtered. Kind of based like some of them retreat, like Napoleon retreats, for example. He leaves, and like all his remaining men get surrounded, and they're given their chance to surrender. Like you fought bravely, lay down your arms, and we'll whatever. And someone says "murder."
Yeah, I wrote that too. I was like, it was just a dead silence, and the guy just yells "murder." Yeah, French for shit, I guess.
And then like all the infantry from the English pull back, and there's all these cannons surrounding them.
Just blow cannon fire like point blank at these guys.
Oh, blow them all away.
I was like, before even the Prussians showed up and they won, I did like also the aerial shot of like Napoleon's men surrounding.
When they had the horses coming.
Yeah, all around. Then you see like the different formations.
They're all like squares.
X-Men
were
had.
triangles.
Yeah, like, that's kind of cool. I bet you that's pretty accurate too.
It was to break up the horses because they couldn't really charge straight. Now they had to like go this way and that way, which made them easier
But
to.
also later on, you see like the piles of dead bodies in the shapes,
same
of those men.
Yeah.
I was like, that was actually really cool detail that they threw in there with the aerial shots, seeing like the formations and stuff, and how they're surrounded them.
And that's one kind of thing that kind of bothered me is that the movie sounds like they had this great strategy and tactics and stuff, but we don't get to know about that beforehand. It just kind of like throws it out at you. Like we see the English guy was retreating, and he led them into those formations, those like things, which like, oh, that's cool, but we had no idea that was the plan all along. Or then like there's another scene where like they're running up to the British, like not running, but all the French soldiers are coming up thinking they have this advantage on the British, and they come to this wheat field, and suddenly all these British soldiers just stand up in the wheat because they've been lying down. They just boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that was cool
Boom,
too.
boom.
Yeah.
That was cool too. And it's just like, I wish we, like when he has the map and he circles Waterloo, I wish we had some more scenes like that where he shows like we're gonna bring them this way. Or
give you like a little hint as to what that scene would have been. Yeah,
we're learning all this on the fly as it happens.
Yeah, like saying that we have men in the bushes, and then you don't realize that until you see like, oh, this is what he was talking about prior. Yeah,
and we're kind of done the movie after Napoleon's defeated. That's pretty much the end. We get like some shots that I didn't expect. The aftermath of the war, where Wellington's kind of going through talking about like, I think there's a quote. It's like the only thing worse than losing a battle, or the only thing worse than winning a battle is losing one. Or the second worst thing to losing is winning a battle, because even though you won, you still lose all these soldiers.
Well, I heard it's because it gives you that false hope or something too. Is also a reason why he said that.
And then so like you said, there's piles and piles of body. I don't know what the actual casualty rate was for that battle and stuff, but they're just mounds.
I'll say also like. They only did it a couple of times where I don't know if it was squibs or if it was just like puffs of like when they got hit by bullets.
Yeah.
I wish there was more of that, because a lot of times guys would get hit and it wouldn't look like they got hit and they'd just fall over and die. And it didn't look like they got shot.
Like Picton was on his horse, like charging in. It's like, come on, you bastard! And then you see like something hit his hat. Like there's a squib right in his hat goes off,
flies off, and then you realize he actually got shot in the head.
Like I thought maybe he was gonna be okay, because you don't even see either. I was expecting him to take his hat off and he'd be fine.
Yeah.
Or I was expecting like a little bit of blood to come down, but all you see is him fall off the horse.
It wasn't obvious till he fell off.
Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there's like that young soldier, the same thing. He gets like hit in the head. But you just see it. There's probably a squib on the side because you don't see it dead on, but just like a puff in the heat.
Like I don't need to be like gory or anything like that, but just to have it more obvious that they're actually getting hit.
Well, there's like Duke Wellington's there with one of his like subordinates, and they're right next to him, and a cannonball lands like
they're like whoa,
3 feet away, really close. They look, and the guy's like, huh.
He doesn't even look down.
He's like, seems I've lost my leg.
Lost my leg. The horse doesn't even move. Like,
he's
literally on the horse, and he looks down. Like, oh, you have.
My God, I've lost my leg. My God, sir. So you have.
There's another guy got like a cannonball like behind him, and like his back. You actually see that one. It's like right around his spine, goes up like from probably the middle of his spine up to his shoulder blades, just ripped open. You can see like flesh.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'll just walk.
No. Your back is shredded to shit.
Yeah. Or I felt bad. There was like a soldier who was like running with. There was 2 soldiers, like a general and probably a subordinate, and they're being chased by the French. And he's like, "Give this locket to my son." And he's like kind of slows down to fight. Outnumbered, they just swarm him and kill him.
Well, they're stabbing him like jousts or like spears at the time.
And then the soldiers got the locket. He gets maybe like another 100 meters away, and then they stab him. Yeah. And you see him in the mud with his hand just out of there with the locket. It's like, oh.
Yeah.
But
he didn't make it.
I was a little bit disappointed that Napoleon didn't get like captured there or killed. But I mean, they're doing this historically accurately. So if he got away, I guess he got away.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I wrote like the Soviet Army thanked in the credits.
Yeah,
that was about it. That's the movie. Like you said, I feel like maybe not half, maybe a third of the movie is the build up with like the, Napoleon.
It felt like half the movie, and then the other half felt like the battle. The battle went for quite a lot longer than you would expect one battle to be in a movie.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything else you want to add on to that I might have missed.
A fun fact, like this movie was one of the most expensive movies that they'd ever made at the time. It was like 12 million pounds, which is about 20 million or 25 million dollars American-ish, 25 million, which I did for inflation. That's about 208 million nowadays, which is pretty crazy. And I bet a lot of it went to like the costumes and the recreation of all like the battle and like the horses and all the men. Like a lot of it would have probably been for that. I don't really know how accurate it is to history, but it seemed like they tried to keep things close to history. Otherwise, they probably would have embellished things a little bit more, I would have assumed.
So, this is talk about the Soviet Army had a huge part playing this. A lot of the soldiers are actually Soviet soldiers, like Russian soldiers, that they trained like on horseback riding and like how to operate cannons.
Okay.
And like, you know, how to properly use those old-timey guns and stuff. Those are all Soviet soldiers. Mm-hmm. They terraformed a lot of landscapes to be exactly like the landscapes that were in the actual battles of Waterloo.
Yeah.
Like they terraformed land and everything. Like they did a whole lot to make this as accurate as they possibly could at the time.
And that is cool. You do kind of appreciate it that much more for having the accuracy, because a lot of movies they're gonna embellish the hell out of it, make it more Hollywood-esque, make it more entertaining throughout the whole movie, just to make it. Yeah.
So then, do we want to get into the good, bad, and the ugly?
Sure, let's do the good, bad, and the ugly.
Okay, I'll start off. So this is, you know, the good, bad, and the ugly. We talk about something we liked, something we didn't like, and then something that just kind of maybe stuck out. Doesn't have to be like, it's the ugly. Mm-hmm. Doesn't have to be actually bad, just you notice it. And
it's something that stood out for you.
Yeah. So for the good, I'm going to say the scale of the combat on screen, like, and all of it being real, like, especially the horse charges, that was like the good. Like, you come for the battle, you come for the fighting and stuff, especially the horse stuff. Yeah. And like you're saying, the horse is playing dead. Like I know at the end they show all the bodies and stuff. There's like a couple horses that are just like
they like lift their heads or something. Yeah, they like kick a little bit. Yeah, they don't fully get up. They just kind of do little movements.
Very impressive, all that. Like and it feels different. Like we could do this in CG, but something about seeing it done this way, you know, it's real. I guess.
Like, I know I heard like bad things about the Ridley Scott movie that came out a couple of years ago. People haven't really liked it that much. The Napoleon.
The Napoleon one.
Yeah. But I'm still curious to see that one as well too. I would like to see a more modern depiction of Napoleon and his war times.
It's like I didn't really pick this movie because of Napoleon. I just picked for the battle. That was my whole thing.
For sure. But my good is it's going to be the horses, 100%. As soon as I saw them tumbling full tilt, I was like, "Fuck, that's insane!" That's like you don't see that. You don't see that in movies. I gotta look it up to see how many horses got hurt during this movie, because they had to have hurt some horses and people flying off the horse. I know they obviously are stunt people that can do this thing, but they had to have gotten hurt too, because that was insane. That was the coolest part of the movie for me.
Yeah. You want to lead off on the bad?
Yeah, the bad. So it's really the first half of the movie. I felt it dragged. I thought it was slow paced, and again, maybe it is being accurate to what happened back in the day, but I thought maybe zhuzh it up a little bit. I felt it was slow getting to the Battle of Waterloo. I just maybe they could have at the very beginning, instead of starting with him giving up to Russia, maybe they could have had him. Maybe like a montage of him like doing some battles before that or something, where he had actually won some battles. Zhuzh it up a little bit, and then get into him like losing, and then all this stuff leading up to the Battle of Waterloo. I thought it was just slow paced at the very beginning until it got to the fight.
I mean, they could have also perhaps cut right before the battle begins. I mean, you might lose some of like the stakes, like Napoleon knowing that this is his return. Like, I mean, I think you could throw that in with like a 2-minute scene or something, but like, yeah, you could cut it maybe right before and then make the battle a little bit extended longer, work some stuff in there.
I don't know if the battle needed to be bigger. The battle was pretty big. It's a lot of the movie.
But yeah, for me, I had my bad was that there's really no underlying like story. It's just the battle and just how things played out. It's kind of like, you know, like there is a little bit with like Duke Wellington and Napoleon having this battle of the wits, but it only comes up here and there, and it's not really formally planted in there because they never meet or anything.
Did they ever state like why they need to fight? Why these forces are at each other's throats?
Just to stop Napoleon. Like I think that they assume that, you know, the history that Napoleon was expanding the empire and they just want to stop him, but yeah, they don't really explain the movie anyways. But yeah, like there's no real underlying story. Like it's not like, you know, the soldier boy that gets killed we don't. That doesn't really matter. You could have cut that out. It doesn't really matter. It feels like they're just talking like, like I said, they're trying to recreate the actual battle, and it's kind of like talking about your regular day. It's not this huge epic story. Like you're like, I went and got some groceries. The bananas were on sale. It's like it's not a story. I guess.
It didn't feel like a very grand thing. Like it definitely did feel like just another day almost.
Yeah.
Going into battle.
And then we'll get into the ugly. For me, the ugly was the women's dialogue. It's just like I said, it felt very out of place. It felt like it was written for a fairy tale romance movie. How they were talking and very, very feathery, flourished like stuff about the fighting like being romanticized and everything. It's just like the rest of the movie kind of shows that's not what it's like at all. And these are soldiers here that actually know the cost of war. So it just feels weird. They are so removed.
My ugly was the overacting when the men died. It was just them doing this bombastic, falling. I just thought that was ugly. You could have done a much better job of dying people.
One thing I was going to ask you, because you brought up the men dying, the guy who steals the pig, does he die? Do we see what
I
happens?
don't know if we actually see his fate or not.
I don't think we see him.
I just remember we saw him at the front line with that one that was kind of freaking out.
Yeah.
And he was trying to calm down a little bit, but I don't know if we actually saw his fate.
Yeah.
You might assume that he was in that group of people that wouldn't give up at the end. The cannon fire shot at them. Maybe he was part of them.
Wasn't he the British? He was the British though.
Oh, sorry, it was British. Yes, you're all right. Yes. So then, maybe he survived because they won. Touche.
It's just weird. His little story, which is not very much, like how it's a guy goes from a regular soldier trying to like loot and steal to being colonel, gets upgraded to a colonel, survives this great war.
Then you technically
probably gets a medal.
If they didn't show what happened to him, they really should have, because we had some investment into this character.
Yeah, and there's not very many characters that are invested in.
Yeah. So that's our good, bad, and ugly.
Yeah. So what we like to do is we usually look at other people's reviews from different sources. So for me personally, I usually look at Metacritic, and I look at the critic reviews. And Country Boy looks at Letterboxd. He looks at the regular Joe reviews.
Yeah.
Actually, in this case, I was not able to get anything off, not IMDb, off of Metacritic. They had Waterloo movie was not on there. So I went to Rotten Tomatoes and went to their critics. So they don't usually have a score. It's either rotten or fresh, or I guess fresh or rotten. I got, for my critics here, I have 3 reviews. I try to get the ones that I feel are most accurate to how the movie was represented in my mind. Like, at least I understand what they're saying. Yeah. If I don't agree with it, but I can see their point, So I have from the Los Angeles Free Press. Waterloo is a spectacle which constantly pays off its panoramas in close-ups, but it gives us only a surface personality of the key military strategists, bits of clever dialogue, and they give it a rotten score.
Okay.
Which, there's definitely lots of good panoramas and close-ups, but like the characters and stuff, like you know that there's the strategy guys and stuff, but you don't really get a whole in-depth into their characters, like a whole lot. Like, you just know that they're smart. Yeah. That's about it.
I haven't seen a lot of movies with the muskets shooting with battles like that, and this is one. I know The Patriot does it with Mel Gibson, which as a whole movie, not the best movie, not the most intelligent, but I think that was a more entertaining way of doing it. That movie, whereas this one probably a little more accurate to everything I think is a little more accurate to history.
The Cleveland Press. A Waterloo is solid, sometimes to the point of lumbering, but Waterloo succeeds in what it set out to do, to recreate a major historical event and place it in some kind of perspective. And they get that fresh. Okay. Which, I think it does show it accurately, give you some perspective of what the battle was like. It does feel like it's lumbering at points, because you're witnessing a war the way it is. And war wouldn't be all excitement all the time.
No.
Like, it would be kind of shitty at times and suck at points.
I think if we had more people to be invested in the fight, then maybe it wouldn't have been a little slower, the battle of being constantly back and forth. Because we don't know this swath of men, we don't know that swath of men going at each other. We just see guys going and getting killed.
Like the guy with the pig, the freak out soldier. Like, if they had a little bit of a conversation about like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go see my brother back home and whatever. Usually, if you hear anything, it's just like, I have a son. Yeah, me too. I hope he grows up well, and that's it. Yeah, that's all you get. And it's
exactly.
And then finally, I have from The Spectator. A confusion of spectacular aerial shots, romantic slow-motion cavalry charges, mumbled high command conferences, and deafening artillery. They rated that one a rotten as well.
Okay.
So yeah, definitely have this slow motion cavalry, which we've gushed about. I don't know if we would really say mumbling high command conferences.
I don't know. I understood them pretty well. I don't think it was hard to understand what anybody was saying, and I don't have an English accent.
Yeah.
So.
And then the deafening artillery. I'm like, I don't know. I mean, maybe in the theater, if you're sitting in the theater, it's really loud. Just oh my god.
Yeah, maybe I don't have a 5.1 surround sound that didn't make my ears hurt or anything like that.
So yeah,
I'll say like if you watch Dunkirk, that's way more deafening. Like you don't hear like the dialogue because there's too much of the background noise. So that movie, I think, is bad for that. This movie, I thought it was fine. I could hear it fine. Maybe the version that this guy watches wasn't very good. I don't know.
Yeah. You want to go ahead with yours?
Yeah, like I do. Like you said, I do the letterbox reviews. So just Joe Schmo down the street can do any review they want. This is a 5-star review, and they said, for war game enthusiasts only, this may be the most accurate depiction of the battle, but that is no excuse to throw away the history behind it. Which I kind of agree. It does feel accurate, and it's kind of to its detriment a little bit as well too. It's a little slow pacing, and I would have liked a little bit more actiony and a little more zhuzhed up. Maybe take a little bit of the movie out that we didn't need.
Yeah. I gotta ask you, going back to my reviews, I pulled mine from Rotten Tomatoes. There's only 11 in total critic reviews that I can pick from. So, like, I almost did like a quarter of them right there.
Okay.
Was there a lot of?
There's thousands of reviews.
Okay.
Yeah. Everybody has an opinion of every movie. So this one is a 3.5, more in the middle of the road, I guess. The battle itself carries the film. The surrounding elements, including Napoleon, are dull with little substance. The cinematography is great, and the last hour, which is the battle, would have been more effective if the build-up was better. But still a solid film, they said. So, and again, I kind of agree with what they said. The build-up to it was slow, but the battle was good.
Yeah. I guess if there was like one more minor confrontation that you saw how things went before, you would make this final battle, the second final battle, feel more epic. This is like the first time we actually see them really in action.
Yeah, exactly. This is literally the only battle we do see, and it's a big long one, but it's the only one we see. And then this last review I have, they gave this a 5 out of 5, so obviously they're a fan. Truly a monumental production, the likes of which are impossible today. All the uniforms, the pageantry of their artful war, just absolutely love it. Napoleon's actor performs brilliantly, becoming quite possibly the most stressed person in all of Europe.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
And let's set that off.
I don't know. Becoming quite possibly the most stressed person in all of Europe. Superbly rousing and so exciting. And I kind of agree with that too. I do like the actor. He did a good job as Napoleon. I wouldn't say it was rousing. I wasn't entertained all the way through, but it was a fair bit of enjoyment in this movie, I'd say.
Yeah. So then, do you want to get to our final reviews?
Yeah.
Our own personal looks at the movies, what we thought.
Our review, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So me, ultimately, like I kind of enjoyed like the battle. I wish there was a little bit more build up. Like we got to see a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
At least we got to know the plan going into it. Because I really like that, knowing how the plan's paying off and what the steps we're going to see are going to be, which we didn't really get here. But like the fighting itself, like we're gonna keep talking about those horse charges, is just amazing. Like, but it doesn't carry everything. So I gave this a 6 out of 10. I feel like it's good. It feels a little bit below average because you don't get like a little bit more build up action anticipation towards that.
Yeah.
But it's still good. It's not a failure altogether.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually gave it the exact same number. I gave it a 6.0. I originally had like a 6.5. I had a little bit higher because
I was thinking that too.
I had some things that I really appreciated about it. I thought it was quite good, but then as I sat on it, I was like, you know what? I'm never gonna see this movie again. I don't think it didn't really grab me, and it didn't have that. It didn't have like a lasting appeal for me. I don't think. Like you said, the horse charging, that was awesome, and like seeing the formations, and there are things in this movie that I did like, but it doesn't really hold the movie. A lot of it is structured, slower paced, and I just wish there was more for me to really like about it. So yeah, 6.0 is where I'm at as well too.
Okay. Well, I think that's going to do it for Waterloo. I mean, if you heard the ABBA song, might have been spoiled for you a bit.
I was actually listening to it on the way here too. I was like, I got to get into Waterloo mode.
But yeah, we got one more movie this month to check out for our month of war. But where can we find you at? You
can find me at Twitch, Twitter, PSN. I'm on Letterboxd, and I'm also on YouTube as Country Boy Niner. So check out that channel where I unbox a whole bunch of stuff. But I'm also countryboy_9, where I do my letterbox stuff and all that stuff. So you can just look for me. You'll find me somewhere as I do a whole bunch of stuff. I have a couple of different channels and whatnot.
I am the Lewis Lightning. That's all one word altogether, the Lewis Lightning. You can find me on Twitch, and you can find me on YouTube, where I have some like gameplay videos of kind of older PS3 era stuff on there. You can check that out. And the two of us are also on another channel with our friend Muskeg. It's called Wasted Opinions. We talk movies there too. We also talk video games. We talk TV shows, music, food, wrestling.
We should do a war episode.
On Wasted
Tied into
Opinions?
this. Yeah, we should do.
We could maybe do that.
Why haven't we? What are we doing?
Yeah, we could do that. Maybe we will. Like, now that you brought it up, maybe we will. But yeah.
Do you want to know what our next movie is going to be?
It's your choice. You let them know.
Oh, yeah, we always say at the end of the episode. So our next movie that we're going to talk about for War Month is 1917, the 2019 movie that came out, I guess, in 2019. So yeah, that's what we're going to talk about next. And I do want to say this here, for anybody that's watching, if you've gone this far, if you watched this far, and if you guys want to talk about what your thought about these movies, if you want to put some comments down below, do that. Do some comments. Yeah. Maybe I'll even read it in a future episode or something. Go ahead. If you want to leave some comments, do some reviews of what you think of these movies, let us know. We're very curious.
Yeah, and we will see you next time. 1917.
Waterloo. Da, 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 da.